now I've realized that there's other ways that you can generate quicker cash flow. And so I'm trying to do that now with my business, because I think really saving up a pot of money to put down on a buy to let isn't fast. Yeah, so I get someone to manage it for me. I've got a channel manager who puts it on all of the different websites and stuff. She sorted out the cleaner for me. She's absolutely amazing, Yasmin. I'm really good friends with her. I trust her. I think it's really important when you're outsourcing that you really look into who and if you trust them or not. And she does everything, bless her. She's absolutely amazing. She furnished the property for me. I've never been to any of my service companies.
That is insane. Oh my god. Hey, welcome to another episode of Fire Podcast. My name is Cynthia and I am your host. So today we have a special guest called Shelley. She is an inspiring property investor. I have connected with her over social media for quite a while now, and she has shared her story with me. It's inspiring, and I just thought it would be great to bring her on the show so that we can all learn from her as well and hear her story out. So Shelley will be joining me, and we will be discussing, like life as moms and, also being property investors, and just how to balance family and a career in property investment. She's also going to share her journey and her story with us. So let's get into it with Shelley. All right, Shelley, hi.
Hi, lovely to meet you all. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, I'm a mum of two little girls, and I've been investing in property now for pretty much COVID, so like 2020. So coming up to 2024 will be 4 years. Balance that around another business as well. So I kind of do property investing 50% of the time, another business 50% of the time, and then mumming all in between that life. Yeah.
I can imagine. I can totally relate to that.
Busy and crazy and all the rest of it. But I've always had I don't know. I think a lot of people say this, but I've always loved watching Homes Under the Hammer. I love the idea of having investing in something that you can look at and that is yours, and that you complete something and you get so much. I get so much joy from that.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that. My property journey sort of got inspired from just watching Homes Under the Hammer. I remember I used to literally just binge on episode after episode, just looking at all the developments that people do, like the befores and afters. I was like, I can't wait for this to be me someday. So yeah, that was definitely how, it's so inspiring just seeing, when it comes to property investment, just it's interesting just seeing how, from when you get your property, what you can do to that property, and then seeing it at the finish line, and then also seeing that place become home to someone else. It's actually just such an inspiring feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, I think for me as well, it's only really more recently that I've sort of gone outside of buy to let. So I just had Homes Under the Hammer, loved watching home transformations and all that kind of stuff. Then I purchased my first buy to let, which was kind of like a dream, and it all happened so quickly. My husband also wanted to invest into something. Initially, it was just we wanted to invest in a house so that the kids had some inheritance for the kids. You know how I feel like everyone has, they want to give something to their kids, and so that was the initial idea. Obviously, we wanted to progress, but we were newbies, so we didn't really know where it was going to take us. And in 2020, because me and my husband are both self-employed, we both had our own businesses. I had an online business, and it blew up in COVID during that time. A lot of business online did really, really well, and so we saved a pot of money, and that was what created our first buy to let in 2020. And we moved from there.
Great. So yeah. So I'm just going to ask you actually. So you're talking about your journey started in 2020. So just maybe take us back a little bit before that. I know you said you wanted to invest in property mostly so that your kids would have something to inherit. But tell me, just before then, you were doing business. What sort of business were you doing? Just what would you say, because everyone wants to invest in property, but what would you say was the light bulb moment when you thought, what, this is the time, it's now or never? What led you into actually actively investing in property?
So because I'm already self-employed, and my money goes like this. I wanted something to run along the side so that I had two things kind of going in conjunction with each other. And so I had a couple of lower months with my other business, and I thought, you know what, I'm self-employed, my husband's self-employed, we've always wanted to invest in property. I want something else that makes me feel a little bit more secure. And it was then in 2020 when we had that pot of money that we were like, right, let's get started on this. Bought that first buy to let. But yeah, I would say it was when my business was very sort of up and down that I kind of thought, right, let's really learn this craft and understand some different strategies so that I can apply them. So then I just started watching YouTube and all the like changed my podcast on my phone when I was out walking. And just kind of got involved, made an Instagram. Actually, my Instagram is really new, actually, but was on Instagram looking at all these property people doing all these crazy things. And I was just getting more and more inspired by it all, almost overwhelmed, actually, because I was like, I want to do all of them. I want to do all of them. I don't just want to do buy to let. I don't just want to do that. I want to test some things out. So actually, it's just been buy to let, and then more recently, I've tried a few different things out, which are kind of I'm more testing at the moment. So I'm excited to see in a year, like where those have taken me. Because you do, what do you mainly do, Cynthia?
Sorry, say that again.
You mainly flip and then Airbnb, don't you?
So, my journey actually started out from rent to rent. So I was renting other people's properties, using them as service accommodation, HMOs and stuff like that. And that was like how I started in 2018. And I did that for about 3 years before I ever bought my first property. And then, 2 years before I bought my first property. And then like a year later, now like a year after that, I started doing like BRRs, which is like buying properties on auction and doing it up and refinancing or selling them as well. So that's where I am right now. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So it took you 2 years of doing that rent to rent strategy before you built that part of
build. Yeah, exactly. To be able to. So what thing with rent to rent is that it took me some time, about 2 years, to be able to build my cash flow to be able to now actually buy a house. Because before we literally could not afford to buy a house. I was working as a healthcare assistant in an NHS hospital. Do you understand? So I was on like a 25k salary, and there was no way I was to save for like 15 years to be able to buy a house on that salary. Do you understand? Especially the fact that I also had a growing family as well. So that's the good thing with rent to rent. So you started with buy to let, right?
Started with buy to let, yeah.
Yeah. So why did you choose the strategy to start with?
You know what? I don't know. It was honestly the only thing that I really knew of. It was either you rent a house or you buy one and rent it out to someone. I hadn't looked any deeper than that. So I kind of went in a little bit, bought in my area, Derbyshire. So I live in Derbyshire. So most of my buy-to-lets are here. Have just invested in the Northeast as well. Another buy-to-let, but mainly in the Midlands area. And I that's all I knew. And then I've kind of done the opposite way round. And now I've realized that there's other ways that you can generate quicker cash flow. And so I'm trying to do that now with my business, because I think really saving up a pot of money to put down on a buy to let isn't fast. And I actually want to grow my business fast. So that's where the rent come in. Yeah. That's right.
And I'm so happy you say that, because when I have a conversation with a lot of people, especially a lot of ladies, when it comes to like property investing, a lot of people don't realize that the only way to make money from property isn't just buy to let. A lot of people think that's the only way, and because that's the most popular way that people know of. Just buy a house, rent it to someone, and that's it, you're making money and your property is appreciating as well. However, when you're looking for quick cash flow, buy to lets are great, especially if your main goal is capital appreciation, especially now with the interest rate levels and everything that's going on right now in the property market. Like I know a lot of people are struggling with buy to lets, like, because it's not, you're getting a property and you're paying a lot of interest on that property, and then you find out that your monthly repayments to the mortgage lender is actually maybe more or slightly lower than what you can rent that property for in the area. So people are like, what am I doing with this now? Do you understand? So like, it's not really, buy to lets are great
for capital appreciation, because if you own the property for a long time, the value is going to increase in the property and you can make a lot of money, you can get equity out of that property. But when it comes to like cash flow, quick cash flow, there's so many other strategies, and this is actually what I discussed in the previous episode. There's so many strategies that you can start with that can just generate really, really quick cash flow for you. Like with my rent to rent as well, when I started, I only invested about, it wasn't even up to £5,000, it was about 4,000 something pounds I invested in my very first property, and the property was already making me £1,000 profit at the end of every month. Literally 30 days after I made that investment, I was making £1,000 profit. I know a lot of people who have like buy-to-lets also are not even probably making that much profit. And you're going like to buy a property, you need at least, and if buying an investment property, you need 25%, isn't it? It's 25% you need. So that's a lot of money.
Yeah, the average person doesn't have that, do they? Like, look at us,
That's
us
what I'm
two.
saying. That's what I'm saying.
We've got a growing family. We both were on lower wage jobs. Like, how on earth, average person probably listen to this,
never,
ever going to be?
I would have never.
To start, never, no.
Yeah,
and I was kind of lucky, I guess. I'd never earned very much money ever before. Like, I used to have a little office job. I had a good kickstart with an online business, which gave me confidence actually in myself. So I did have a lot of money to start with, but had I not have, I don't think I would have gone looking for it, because I would have just assumed that I wouldn't do it. And when it's nice to get out there to women to say that you actually can, like
you can exactly.
Like the rent to rent. We're actually taking ours out at the moment. We had our first really big booking on our Cardiff apartment, so we're kind of like months into rent to rent. We're really just focusing on bringing that cash flow in now, but a bit of deal sourcing as well, which again you don't need any money for either. You just find a deal. And obviously it's a bit more in depth than that, but another way to make cash flow without having or owning or buying or investing anything at all.
Exactly. Yeah, that's great. So like what I want to find out is, because I want people to actually understand how much it costs to go into property investment, like especially from different strategies. Obviously, like I said, the very first property, rent to rent property, that only cost me less than £5,000 to actually get into it. And at the end of the month, that made me like I was making £1,000 profit at full occupancy when the property is fully tenanted. I was making £1,000 profit, right? So in your case, you bought your first property. What area did you buy your first property?
What area?
Yeah.
So I was in Derbyshire, so near me, locally. I bought.
Okay, great. And how much did you have to put down for that first property in terms of like even including stamp duty, like legal fees and everything? If you can give us like a rough idea of like a rough figure.
It's about, I'm trying to think how much you paid for it now. I think it was about around the 25 mark. Around the 25 mark. Yeah.
And how much does that property make you monthly when it's tenanted?
Between £250 and £300 profit a month. So it's steady, it's steady.
It is. So again, like that's not bad. You understand? Like that's 250, 300. That's not bad. That's a decent profit. But then again, this is why I said earlier, when it comes to buy to lets, I don't think people don't really understand that it's not a business of quick big cash flow. You understand? It's more about you're buying it because that's an asset and it's going to be an asset for a long period of time for you and your family. That's what buy to let sort of represents. And do you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. If I'd have known what I did now, I would have done it the opposite way around. So I would have done rent to rent first. Like I could have had 4 rent to rents rather than one house. Like generate.
Yeah, exactly.
There is downsides to rent as well, of course. Like I've experienced some of that. Like I've experienced losses in a month. I think that was my first rent to rent. And I'm the kind of person, to be honest, who just sees something, my eyes light up, and I'm like, woohoo, let's go for it. And
that's literally how I am as well.
Sometimes that really pulls off for me, and other times I'm like, let's go.
That's right.
It's all learning. So there's no downsides to rent, like that can happen. But I think the more you do it, the more you practice. I mean, I now I would have done it the other way around, and I think I would have had more money to do more now with. But there's a reason why you go through that process.
Of course. I think everything happens for a reason, and it's great that you've gone through your journey the way you've gone through it, and you've learned more along the way. And obviously, as you go, you're going to now apply the things that you've learned. And just let's just touch on a little bit about the downside, because I am so big on downsides, like discussing it, because I really like, even when I, talk to people about property, or even with like my students that I mentor, I always emphasize that, there's downsides to everything. Everything we do in life, there's downsides. I'm going to come on Instagram or social media and I'm only going to tell you about, I made this much money, I did this, I did that, and it's great and it's fantastic. But when you actually walk in my shoes, there are a lot of downsides, a lot of hurdles that I've had to go through, right? And that's what people don't understand, because they're like, oh, they come in and they're faced with one, downside, and they're like, oh, this doesn't work for me, and then they're out. But it's all about perseverance, right? Like, you have to persevere through the downsides. But let's just talk a little bit about some of the downsides that you've encountered in your rent-to-rent journey. Would you say?
Yeah. So our first property, we got that in Leicester. So we've still got that now. I'm actually going to reevaluate that in January. We had a really good month last month. But we're literally like this, like about breaking even, which isn't what we want. Obviously, that's not why you take a rent to rent on. Really, it was the winter last year was really, really hard, and that like took us down a little bit. But it has picked up as the year's gone on. So we're going to reevaluate that in January. I think, again, I did that first one in Leicester, and I might give that back. However,
and am I right to say that's the one in Leicester, the property we're talking about right now, that's a rent to service accommodation, yeah?
That's right. Can you remember when I voice noted you about that a while ago?
Yeah, I remember when you talked about that. Yeah.
What have I done wrong?
You know what? I don't think you did anything wrong, to be honest, because this is the thing people don't understand with service accommodation. No matter how much money people come out and claim and say they're making on social media or anywhere from like a service accommodation property, the simple truth means that it fluctuates.
Yeah,
you can make £10,000 profit this month, and next month you can just about break even. Do you understand? That is the nature of this rent to service, or even service accommodation business. That is the nature of it. Do you understand? And because it's heavily impacted by seasonality, because like there's a peak season, the low season, high season, all that stuff. Like summer, winter is usually the worst month. And I have a property as well, very similar to what you talked about, your in Leicester. I have one in South End, very similar. In the winter, I was literally giving away the property for free, just so that I would have people come in and just pay cleaning fees, so that someone's there. Do you understand? Just so that we can make it through the winter. And then again, last month and in the summer months, we've made like a lot of money. Like it did really, really well. But going back into the winter, again, I was having this conversation with my partner. We are going to reevaluate how that property performs this winter. And if it isn't doing great, we will hand it back by the end of the year. That's one benefit of rent to rent, actually, even though it's a downside where, the property is not doing well, you still have to pay the rent. But the benefit from that is that you don't own the property. If it's not doing well, you simply give it back to the owner. You literally that's it, you give it back to the owner. Compared to when you bought a property for that purpose, like let's say you bought a property just for essay and it's not doing well, and now you're stuck with that house that's not doing great as a service accommodation. Now you have to think of what else can you do to make money. But that's the beauty of rent to rent. You can easily just give it back if it's not working out.
Yeah, exactly. That I really like that about it. And it was really interesting what you were saying about it is one of them businesses that goes like this. So like when we was looking at occupancy, like a lot of the time when people advertise deals, they say, 100% occupancy is this. Well, that rarely happens, does it? For a start, this is what is 70%, this is at 50%, but you actually just don't know. You have to take the risk. And we actually, for our second one, because it was a blessing in disguise, because our first one was going like this, I was like, right, hold on a minute, I need to do a bit more research myself on this and have a look at areas that really perform well and follow some people who have really successful rent to rent service accommodation businesses, and where are they investing? Like, I think it doesn't lie, does it? What success doesn't lie, and it leaves clues. So we decided to go with Cardiff, and I have a friend who manages it for me, who lives in Cardiff, and she's got an apartment literally opposite. So we did that, and that one's doing wicked. Really, we had a really big booking on it, but it's early days, so we'll see how that goes. But I definitely will continue rent to rent, because I just think there's so much opportunity with it. And like you say, it's flexible. If it's not working, cool, you just cut your losses, or you cut where you're at, and you can move on. You can go and find something else and test that out. And that's the beauty of it. It doesn't take months to sell and maybe cost you money when you could even be selling it at a value right now that you didn't even buy it for, you know, the less than what you bought it for, because the market's so yeah, I agree with you there.
You live in Derby, and and you have a property in Leicester. How far is it from Derby to Leicester?
It's about 40 minutes ish.
Okay. And you have another property in Cardiff.
Yeah. So we manage Cardiff's about 3 hours away.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this is what I was trying to get. So like a lot of people again think that when it comes to rent, you also have to it has to be somewhere close to you. You have to get a property close to you that you can easily access and everything. But you've got a property that's 3 hours away. So tell us a little bit more about how you're making that work for you. Because you said that this is really doing well. You have a friend that's helping you manage, but just tell us what sort of systems that you've put in place to allow you to have a property that's 3 hours away from you.
Yeah, so I get someone to manage it for me. I've got a channel manager who puts it on all of the different websites and stuff. She sorted out the cleaner for me. She's absolutely amazing. Yasmin. I'm really good friends with her. I trust her. I think it's really important when you're outsourcing that you really look into who and if you trust them or not. And she does everything better. She's absolutely amazing. She furnished the property for me. I've never been to any of my service companies.
That is insane. Oh my God, no. That is interesting. You've never seen the property, but you're making so much money from the property. Wow.
Never seen it, no. And I did actually. I'd never been to Wales, and I went down to Cardiff the other week, and we just couldn't get hold of the keys quick enough because I wanted to go in. But I will definitely over the winter. I'm definitely going to go down to Cardiff and have a look at that. Maybe a booking or something. We're going to go down, and then so I basically manage everything out because I have another business, and I think what's important is if someone is wanting to get into property but has like a full-time job and children and all that kind of stuff, you can outsource all of this and still make profit.
Exactly.
Yes, you'll make less if you go and get on your hands and knees and scrub it yourself 100%. But I personally just can't do that. Number one, because I don't live anywhere near them. But number two, I don't have time. And like I think you have to pick what you try and save on and what you don't, because that's having something on automation or having things on automation is absolutely or I wouldn't be able to run my property business. So
that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. That is very powerful, because a lot of people feel like, especially when you're starting out, you have to do everything yourself. You have to, so that you can make more money. But sometimes you have to ask yourself, do I actually have the time to give to this? And instead of, not doing what you have to do just because you feel like, oh, I don't have the time, I can't afford to get the help, just look for a ways to like outsource it. These days, you can even do, at least you've got your friend managing. You can even get like, virtual assistants that will do most of the, like management for you. Find a local cleaner in the area that can do the cleaning for you. Find a local maintenance, because the two main people really that you need when it comes to a rental-based accommodation, the two main people that you need is a housekeeper and a maintenance guy, right? Or a maintenance person, someone that, once something's broken, they're out there to fix it. And then your cleaner is the one who's like your eyes and ears at the property. They go there, they clean, they tell you how the guests live the property and everything, and you can feedback off of that. So those are the two main people you need. You don't necessarily need to be in a particular. I have it. I know someone who has they live in the UK and they have a property, an Airbnb property in Dubai. And they've just completely outsourced it, and they're making so much money, because sometimes people get worried about, oh, I need it to be close to me so that I can, have access to it and, go there. And what are you going there to do? Unless you're employing yourself as a housekeeper or maintenance person, you really don't need to be back and forth at your property.
No, exactly. And that, I seriously couldn't do it. And it is 100% worth it. And I will go down there eventually. As soon as I can, I will be down there. I love going down. I love getting stuck in when I can. But when you've got little ones, it's just, it's hard, isn't it?
It's difficult. Exactly. Yeah. And that's the benefit. Sorry.
I saw you. Bless you. I felt so sorry for you. And I was watching your content of your maintenance guy, not maintenance guy, the builder that didn't turn up, and you were on your hands and knees.
I was, do you understand?
Oh,
Like, and that particular property is 4 hours away from me. But we had a builder who, okay, so basically, obviously, because the guys that listen to this probably don't know the story. So this is one of my, auction properties that I bought to renovate. And we paid the contractor actually to do all the building work because we were not local. We couldn't physically always be. The area was 4 hours away, all the way northeast England, and in Darlington, and we really couldn't be. Yeah, say that again.
I've that my most recent purchase is Darlington as
It's
well.
Darlington, yeah. So I can't physically be down there. Do you understand? Every time, especially I've got family and whatnot. So we decided to hire a contractor, and he just disappeared with our money. Like we paid him. We agreed a 40K, you know, price to like do all the renovation, every single thing that needed to be done. And yeah, we were paying him weekly, but what he came up with was a lying tactic. Like every single week he would say there was something wrong, or there was delays here, or he's ordered the windows, but it's taking time to come and stuff like that. And then he'll request that we pay him more money. So we did that for 6 weeks in total. We paid him a sum of 30K. And we were like, hold on a second, we've paid this guy 30K and he hasn't done 30K worth of job. So we were like to him, so we're not going to pay anymore until he actually, like, the job that we've paid him for
He's done.
kind of corresponds with like the money that we've spent already. So, and he was okay, cool, yeah, I'll do this week, I'll do that next week. And then he will send us like pictures, because he will send us pictures and videos to update us, but they'll be so blurry, and we're like, we can't see anything from here. Can you send us proper pictures? I'm sure everyone can take a clear picture in 2023. And then all of a sudden he just went quiet. We would email him, call him, nothing. It was just radio silence, and we're like, oh my god. And it's crazy because we actually checked out his business. Myself and my husband were actually very skeptical when we invest. We checked out his company. He's a proper registered company. He's been doing business for quite a few years and whatnot. So it was just weird that he just randomly disappeared. And yeah, for like 2-3 weeks, we didn't hear back from him. And all of a sudden, he tried to send us some next guy to come and finish the work. But the work that he was doing was so below par. Like it was, like everything he did was terrible. Like he was just doing things wrong. And we just thought this guy is going to end up costing us more money. And they were demanding that we pay them the balance of 10K so that they can finish up the rest of the work. I said, no chance in hell we're paying you any more money until you finish the work. Then we will pay you the balance of 10K or whatever is left. And we kept going back and forth with them until we decided, you know what, we're not going to work with these guys anymore. They were so rude, so unprofessional. The guys that they sent didn't even know what they were doing. Like they were doing things the other way around. And then when we had to now pay new like tradesmen to come and do like things, they were meant to do like the electricity, and they didn't do that. We had to pay for someone to come and do the electricity. The windows that they said they ordered never turned up. And we had to buy brand new windows and put it in. We ended up spending like almost double of what we budgeted for that property, just because of these guys and their incompetence and stupidity, really. And yeah, that was my story. And that was my very first BRR as well. But obviously, like, I've learned from that. For me personally, I always take things as I don't like to dwell in like the negatives of stuff. So I was like, okay, cool. This house needs to be completed. What we have to do to complete it. We can't go way over budget and spend so much money, because then we'll be running at a loss. So what I have to do is give my time. If I have to be on all fours, scrubbing the floors and painting walls and whatnot, then that's what I'm going to have to do to make sure that this is finished within the timeline that we've given ourselves. And that was it. That's why I had to, put on my DIY hat. And I did most of the painting myself in that property. It wasn't easy, but I did most of it. And yeah, like, so right now the property is finished. It's actually currently listed to be sold, because we want to just sell it and come back a little bit closer to home and buy more properties in the area. Yeah, but that was one of the experiences that I've, and that's the thing again, talking about downsides again. That's a lot of things that people don't really share. I believe that if you're investing in property and like you're buying and selling homes or buying and reconstructing homes, people go through different, like people have crazy stories. Do you understand? But they don't always share it, so people don't see that side. When I post my pictures of that property now online, everyone will be like, oh my god, you've done such an amazing job. And if I say how much money I made from that property, everyone will be like, oh my god, there's so much money in this, I have to do this. But they don't understand like the blood, tears and sweat I had to give to get to that point. You understand?
Yeah, it is.
That
But you have, I think that a lot of it is a mindset. Like you say, you don't dwell in the negative, you just get on with it. You could have given up and said, I'm never going to do a BR again because that happened to me. And then again, it's with that's another downside, I guess, isn't it, to why people might invest only where they live, because they'll go and find a builder who they know better. And it's like take a chance sometimes when you're far away. And that is what you risk for potentially more profit, and that's why you go away from it.
Exactly. So I feel like it's like a double-edged sword, if you like, because if you can find someone who you can trust, like you've got your friend that you trust and she's also in Cardiff and she can manage your property, that's fine. If I had a contractor that I could trust in like an area that is like 10 hours away from me, if it's someone that I can trust and I know that this person is going to do what they say and they're going to do my job well, I would still invest far away from home. But however, just from this current experience right now, I've decided I will only invest like somewhere quite locally, so that I can physically be there and monitor the progress of the work myself if I wanted to. Do you understand? So that's, for me, that's it, because it can work both ways. If you have someone that you can trust, then yes, you can invest anywhere in the world, really. But if not, you might have to be very careful where you invest, really. Okay, cool. So I want to ask you about your property portfolio. So tell us about your property portfolio. Like, how many properties do you have in terms of like both rent to rent and the ones that you've purchased yourself? And like, what is you can give us like an estimate of how much all the properties together are worth.
Okay, yeah. So at the moment I've got 4 buy-to-let. So I've got 3 in the Derbyshire area and 1 up in Darlington. Then I've got the Cardiff rent serviced accommodation that's just gone live. I've obviously got the Leicester one as well, which is ticking along. Then I do ideal source for investors, so that's I get a monthly income from that as well. And then I also have my own. I also invest as like a passive investor into social housing too. So like that entirety of like what comes in every month. Like I say, 2 years ago it only buy to let. This is just so new for me. I'm kind of testing this out. We go for with a buy to let. It's just like 2 up, 2 down, sort of like terraced house. I really love the idea of doing a HMO in the Derby area. We live quite near the uni. I would love to do that eventually, but I'm not going to take it too big just yet. But yeah, really, the properties range between like 60 to 80,000 pounds in value, and they all generate us like between £200 and £300 profit every single month.
Each of the property.
Each of the buy-to-let properties. Obviously, the Cardiff that's just gone live. We actually had a £7,000 booking on our.
Wow, I love bookings like that. Oh gosh,
I was like, what? Yasmin, my friend who managed it, she was like, "You're never going to believe this." It was like the second day that it went live, is what she was like, and I felt like I needed that little push because of what happened with Leicester. I was like, I need that. Yeah, it gave me a lot of hope with it, and so we had that's that they've had an 83. It's an 83 night booking basically. They're actually come from overseas. So there's that, and then we just get like a 750 payment from our social housing investment every month, and obviously the Cardiff one and the Leicester one, just going like this.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So how much would you say in total that all your property investments every single month brings in for you, profit wise?
You know what? We worked this out last night actually. So 5,960.
596. That's what 5,960. Wow, that's good. That's a lot. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And you do deal sourcing as well. So is that all related to the social house? Is it supported living one?
Yeah, that's
all right. Tell us a little bit about that then, please.
Yeah. So I started off as a passive investor. So it's very similar. Well, it is rent to rent. So obviously when you get your rent to rent deals, say for example, we do our service accommodation, don't we? That's you have to go and find your tenants, and there a lot of the time it's short-term let. So this is rent to rent, but it's social housing. So you don't go and find the tenants because the tenants have already been moved in by the social housing providers. So I invested into a deal whereby obviously I invested to help that renovation. I don't do the renovation or anything, but I invested into it, and the contracts are signed for like 5 years from the social housing provider and the social housing group. Yeah, so how it works is you've got the social housing group who are like the social housing experts, if you like. They source the property from the landlord. They agree terms on paying the landlord a fixed amount for 5 years. And they have the relationships with the social housing providers. So they kind of marry the two together, and they would move in of the social housing, sign those contracts for 5 years. And so we just invested into that kind of passively. So we did 25,000, and they actually got split over a couple of projects for like a fixed return in 5 years. So obviously that's great because I mean you don't have control over it, which is one part of it. So you don't get to choose, I guess. You don't see the property or anything like that, but you just invest into that ticks over monthly. So as an investor, you get a portion of that like monthly rental profit that flows through for 5 years, and then obviously you can either leave that to build up or whatever you want with it. And it actually pays our mortgage every month. Yeah,
that's
so that
good.
kind of cancels that bill out, if you like.
That's good. And you're also making earnings from also sourcing these deals out to other people.
Yes. So because I started just as a passive investor, and then after we'd done it, I was like, I love this. It's so good. Like, I really want to get involved. And so I then reached out to the social housing group and started working with them. So what I predominantly do is I help to raise investment for the project, which is up and down the country. It's mainly in the northwest and the south at the moment, but it's actually in closer to the Midlands, which is nice because I get to go and see the projects as well, which is great. We just did Birmingham. So yeah, I started helping them raise investment to scale across the country, if you like. And I also help landlords who maybe have either a house or in some cases bigger portfolios, who would like to diversify into social housing and have that sort of have their houses as more passive, you know. There's downsides to it as well, of course. A lot of the time, you know, if you rent it out to a professional HMO, like obviously you usually get more for it. But if you want something that's a little bit more, you know, easier, if you've got a big portfolio, then landlords attach their portfolio to social housing. And in the next month or so, we're going to be broadening out to supported living as well. So that'll be interesting.
And that's great.
Both sides, landlords and investors. Wow. Yeah, I really enjoy it, actually.
Yeah. And that's interesting. That's so inspiring. Like, so let's say if you had to change one thing about your entire property investment journey, what would it be?
Obviously, I wish I would have started earlier. You know what? It's a really random one. I wish I'd have started my Instagram earlier. So I only started it in May, and I just feel like the amount of conversations, like just literally connecting with people and talking to people, getting advice from people, understanding this like crazy property world. I wish I'd have done it so much sooner. I think as soon as you set that intention of like, this is me, I'm getting started in property, this is my journey, it kind of forces you in that direction of, okay, well, I need to go and do something now because I need to make content and I need to appeal to investors, or I need to do, you know what I mean? I need to, I'm accountable to something in a way. And so I think if I'd earlier, I would have made more connections earlier. I probably would have made more money. And definitely. But I really think that social media account has helped me grow.
It helped you.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Great. Yeah, that makes much sense. Like even with me as well, I've been doing property for like the past 5 years, but I only recently, I would say in the last sort of 2 years, started posting my journey online and talking about it online and everything. Yeah, and again, it has literally brought so much connections into my life. I've met so many people, learned so much from from people, because the more you start talking about property or whatever you want to do really, and the more you start connecting with people in that field, you start to learn a lot more that you didn't even know was possible. And that's just the thing, because no matter how much information, even till today, I don't know everything about property. I'm still learning from people that I speak to every day and whatnot. So that is great. So what would you say is your biggest challenge or struggle when it comes to like property investment?
I think worrying that I've made the right decisions. I think because you're kind of, my husband's in with me too. But I think when you're a one-man band or a couple of man bands, you know, you always wonder, like, have I done this right? Have I done that right? Biggest having that full confidence in yourself, especially at the beginning, that you're making the right decision.
The right decision.
And you're like, you actually don't know who you are. So I think that's been the biggest hurdle. And again, I think with time, you just become, your knowledge goes up. You go through these hard times and you realize how
to become more confident.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you also become more confident. But that's great. Like that, even though you have this, like I'll say, like, do you feel like imposter syndrome though sometimes? Because I used to feel that a lot. Like I'm like
so bad.
Like who am I to be talking about property? I know nothing about property and stuff like that. But and I like feel like sometimes I don't even belong here. Like, what am I doing here? But you do. Like I felt that as well when I first started, and I get always doubting my like capabilities, like my decisions. I'm like, oh my god, is this going to be a good deal? Is this going to be a bad deal? Have I just literally messed us up forever? Just like you as well, I'm doing it with my partner. Is also like my husband, also my silent partner in the business sort of thing. So we do it together. And you know, it's like when you're doing it from one income, one household, it's like we really don't want to get ourselves to, you know, bankruptcy.
No,
and you just question everything.
You have to take risks, don't you? So you're kind of like this. I've got a family. I want to take the risk.
Exactly.
Yeah, I definitely get imposter syndrome. Like that's why I didn't make the Instagram for so long. So it's like, what on earth am I going to say? I've got like 2 buy-to-lets, and I thought, hold on a minute. Actually, it's 2 more buy-to-lets than a lot of people have. So
a lot of people, like a majority of women in the UK probably don't have to buy to let. Like just a small number of people that even own their own homes, let alone buy to let, like investment properties. Do you understand? So you are definitely up there when it comes to like property investors who deserve to be here. Do you understand? Like you've purchased 2 whole properties. So you deserve. You should not even have any imposter syndrome at all. Okay. Okay. So. Exactly. So what's your best accomplishments then in terms of like properties? What is the property or the deal that you've done and you feel like, wow, yes, this is it for me. Like I love this.
Well, I'm just about to close it. I can't say what it is. I'm just about to close the deal, which will be my biggest one ever that I've ever closed. And it's like on the sourcing side of things, a huge investor. So that was like when that comes into reality, because I'm saying that it is, you know, that will be a massive thing for me to know that, you know, I never think that I could sell anything, or, you know, 4 or 5 years ago, I was just sat there like breastfeeding, thinking, what am I going to do with my life? And then you start to, you know, to think that I would be able to sell something so big would be me. So just actually getting that confidence and just failing over and over and over. I think this accomplishment is just persevering no matter what the outcome, and getting to the point of being, you know, having almost all of our bills paid for by property, you know, and that is our first goal, was to have that completely covered monthly, so that, you know, if something went horribly wrong in our other businesses, property's got our back. So that would be up until now really a biggest accomplishment, is getting to that like £5,000 a month threshold of we just bills every single month. Like we have so much more security now from that.
That's great. Yeah. Well, I wish you all the best with the deal that is in the pipeline. I can't wait to hear about it once it's gone through. I can't wait to hear about it. Okay, good. So what's your advice for any woman that really wants to get into, you know, like a property business, even get on the property ladder? What would be your advice to them?
Well, I would start listening, start putting yourself in a position where you can learn. So, you know, whether that's, go. I think there's a great space for like a course if it fits you. Like, go and figure out what you're drawn to. So I watched a lot of YouTube and a lot of podcasts, and was just like really just absorbing information. My YouTube was on in the background when I was making my breakfast and stuff, and I was listening to all these different ways and sort of figuring out, I'd actually really like to do that. This sounds like this would be me. So go and actually do your own research first of all. You don't just have to go save up loads of money and do a buy to let. Go and listen to people out there and decide what you think will be great for you and what is achievable for you to start doing where you're at right now, even if you don't have the money. So I would do that. Go and do your research, listen, take your time, but not too much time. Don't wait around too long. And
Exactly.
put it into action. Go and make the steps. Go to a networking event or something. Go onto your Instagram and start following some other people who inspire you. Go and reach out to them and talk to them. Yeah, they're only people. And just get in and around and amongst it, and you will find yourself naturally grow into you won't recognize yourself in a year if you do that. Just make a decision and go with it, and you don't need as much money as what you think you do. It will all come.
That's right. Yeah. So thank you for sharing all of that. Thank you for sharing your story with us. It's so inspiring. Like, one thing that I struggled with when I first started was just finding other female property investors to like connect with, and it's just so inspiring. Like getting to know you, hearing your story, and also you sharing it with us here today, and even so many other women that are doing great things on like in the property field. Like, what would you? So we've already talked about the advice you give to them, to women who want to get started in property. But what would you say? What like little secret golden nugget would you share with someone who wants to get to where you are? You've got 4 buy-to-let, you have rent properties, you're doing deal sourcing, you're investing in social housing, you're doing a lot, Shelley. Like you always, when I talk to you, you always underestimate what you're doing in property. You're like, oh my God, no. But you're doing a lot. You're actually doing a lot. Like, it's so inspiring because you're doing so much basically. So what would you share with someone? What tip or what golden nugget would you give to someone like a woman who's trying to get where you are, especially because you're a mom as well? People always ask me, how do you do all this? And you've got little kids and stuff like that. Just what would you share with, and what tip would you give to people who want to, get to where you are, who want to be like you basically?
Yeah, that's actually a really hard one. I think you have, it sounds really cliche, doesn't it? But you can't give up, and you have to put it on the priority list. It's not a hobby. Like, don't treat like your business. If you're in a job, don't treat that as the job and this is the hobby. Like, you do your 9 to 5 or whatever you do, and then you do your 5 to 9, and don't give up for it at least 2 years. Like, I think you need to give it that time to even be at a point of feeling like anything. I think it takes 2 years, and I think a lot of the time what people do is they go for it for like a few months, and they're like, oh, this isn't for me. Like, no, that's right before they're just about to get their break. And I think if you commit and you want to do it, there's a reason why you feel like you want to do that. So even when it's hard, and even when you feel like you're not getting anywhere or nothing's coming your way, like, you have to push through that time, because that's usually right before the time that you get the biggest win. Yeah, that's like right. Obviously with that, it's weird. It's like it's sent to you, And with my first service accommodation, like, I was like, oh, you know what, I'm just going to give it up. And then we took on Cardiff, and it was like, that booking came in, and I was like, my mindset just switched like that. I was like, right, where's the next one? And you have to hold on to those little wins that you get along the way, and just know that no matter what, whether they're people are million billionaires in property, they will lose hundreds of thousands of pounds along the way, and a lot of self-belief, but they didn't stop. If you start, don't stop. Give it the time. Give it anything you need to give it.
The key is never stopping, really. Thank you for that. That is so powerful, because this is I 100% agree with everything you say. If I was to give someone like a tip, golden nugget, that would be it as well. Just don't stop. Whatever you do, don't stop, because the minute you stop, you've agreed or you've succumbed to failure. Like, oh gosh, it doesn't work, I'm not going to do it anymore, and then you're going to stop. But if you keep persevering, be consistent, and be committed in chasing that goal, you will definitely achieve success. Like, when it comes to success, like two main things that, that leads to success: commitment and consistency. If you're not consistent, you're not gonna be successful at anything. And if you're not committed to what it is you're doing, you're not gonna be successful.
Yeah, and I think I think compressing time frames as well as much as you can. So what I mean by that is you could put in a really slow pace for 5 years and not be very far along, or you can literally say, right, every single night, Monday to Friday, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and you can compress that time frame into a year rather than 5, and then that's going to give you confidence to go and do bigger and better things in the next 4 years. So that is, I think, that's a big thing as well. Like, do the most for the shortest amount of time, not the least for a long time.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing all of that with us, Shelley. We're almost at the end of it, but just before you go, I like to go through a series of questions with all our guests on the podcast. And it's called firecracker questions, like just firecrackers, right? Just a list of questions that I call firecrackers. Just quick questions, quick answers, and we can just get to understand or learn about your personality a little bit more, right? So I'm just gonna read out the question and you can just tell me your answers, So if you could have dinner with a historical figure or a celebrity, who would it be and why?
Oh, Lady Gaga. I just love her. I just absolutely love her. Her song, her song was played at my wedding. It's my wedding song. I just think she's an amazing, interesting person. It would definitely be Lady Gaga.
Okay, cool. So Lady Gaga. Night owl or early bird?
Oh, early bird. I used to be a night owl, but I'm not anymore, obviously, because I've got children. But my brain is more switched on in the morning, and I try and hone in on it as much as I can. So do the school run and get my work done before, like, I start to flag at like 2 p.m. Then it's game over. So morning.
For me, it's the other way around. Actually, I'm a night owl, and because I can only work when my kids are sleeping and everywhere is dead silent, and I'm like, yes, this is the time for me to go in and grind. Okay, good. So if you were a type of cuisine, which one would you be, and why?
A type of cuisine?
Yeah.
Oh. I want to say a pizza, but that's just so unhealthy because I just absolutely love cheese.
Oh my god, yeah. So
spice on there as well, I would say. I love anything a little bit spicy, and I think my personality is a little bit wacky, so we're going to go with this spicy vegetarian pizza.
Okay, cool. That makes sense. All right, cool. So in properties, location is key, we all know. So if you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Spain. I've always wanted to live in, well, actually, I don't want to live in Spain. I want a house in Spain so that I can just exit the UK when we have summers like this. And it's close enough to the UK. And when my kids have left and flown the nest in the years to come, then I can just go and sit out in the Spanish sunshine. I love tapas. It's still close to home, 100% Spain. Mainland Spain, but I love like Mallorca or someone like that. Let's see how well we do in property. But I won't be able to afford them.
Okay, cool. So what is the most unexpected or bizarre or weird thing that has happened to you on a property visit or viewing or tour?
Well, on my first ever, I went to have a look at a HMO in Derby City Centre. Luckily, I said to my husband, I said, I'll go on my own. It's fine. I know Derby City Centre. It's not that hard. Tom was like, no, I'm going to come with you. So is that okay then? And we actually ended up breaking into a building that we thought was the building because it was open and it was like round the corner, and we're both terrible at reading maps. We managed to get into the property that wasn't the property. And then we locked ourselves in the back. We had to literally like bash a door to get out the back, and it was pitch black. There was no lights. So can you imagine if I'd gone on my own, I would have been locked in, and it would have been pitch black dungeon.
That is giving horror movie.
Horrible.
It's giving horror movie.
And it's like the really old buildings, like in Derby, right near where the Ram is. And if anyone is from Derby, they'll know exactly where that is. And they're really old buildings. We went right to the back, and it was like the horrible staircase. Anyway, it turns out that it was around the corner. We found the property in the end, but we broke into building.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay, good. So would you rather a city penthouse or a countryside mansion?
Countryside mansion, definitely.
Listen, 100% me too.
Yeah, I'm not. When I was
Definitely.
younger, I used to like the city. Now I just want to be in the field, and I just
Yeah,
much more.
100%. Yeah.
I like the trees.
Okay, so imagine you have a time machine and you could go back in time. Which property investment or property market era would you go back to and why?
Oh gosh. I don't know. You know what? I feel like I don't know that much about property that's happened
Back in
before.
the day.
Only
Well,
from
all
when
you need to know is that in the 90s, properties were so cheap. Like I would go back to the 90s because it was so cheap to just buy a house, and you could even get like 100% mortgages then. So that would probably be for me. That would be the era that I would go back to.
yeah, we'd definitely be going back in time for sure. Buying a bigger row. Yeah. I don't actually. I've never even thought about that, but yeah, I think
Okay.
to look at how
Right,
much it's gone up is wild. So yeah, it's the quickest, like, the best time is today, isn't it? The second best was yesterday.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So we all have like guilty pleasures, and what's your property related guilty pleasure like? Whether it's just binge watching like property shows, or like collecting interior designs or antiquated like items for your house. What is it exactly that you love when it comes to like property?
So
You love doing?
and I know that none of it's real, and the commission's not even real on it. But selling Sunset, I've got to admit, like,
Oh
I
my
absolutely
God. Do
from.
you think it's not real? Do you think it's not
Yeah.
real?
Well, I mean, the
Is
whole
it actually a thing that is not real, or that's just what you think? Because I feel like it's real.
So yeah, I think like the concept of it is kind of real, but the thing that I don't think is real, I actually saw someone talking about it, and apparently, when the commission comes up where it says how much commission they get for that deal, apparently that's not right. That's not real. I know, and that actually
I was really considering moving to America and selling luxury real estate just to make them kind of commissions. I always thought it was real. Interesting.
Oh, that's what the girl said in the video that I watched. Whether that's right or not, I don't know, but I think there's a lot of dramatization, isn't there? And like the outfits, wild season.
I know, right? Their outfits are unbelievable on that show. Like their outfits are just like, taking screenshots to do a Google image search to try and find something that looks like that. But okay, so are you? Okay, that's very similar to me. And it's just binge watching shows as well, like Selling Sunset, Selling Miami, like all the luxury real estate shows online, and even Homes Under the Hammer as well. Like I'm watching it, and actually I will be featuring on Homes Under the Hammer in a few days actually, and it's like very soon. Yeah, I will be. Yeah. They shot my house at Darlington. They showed the house at Darlington. Yeah, so we'll be going online soon. Yeah.
Amazing.
So excited about that. I'll be on your TV screen very, very soon.
Yeah, wow, that's wicked.
Thank you. So another question, are you a DIY person or done for you person?
Done for me person, 100%. I'm terrible. I'm good at like picking finishing touches, and like I'm good at the task delegation side of things, but I'm not good at actually doing it. Yeah, I give it someone else.
Same here. And the final question is, it's not even a question, just more like a debate, right? Like this is like I always hear people talking about this, and I just want, let's just settle this here and now. Are you a pizza or pineapple person? Yes or no?
Oh, you know what? I would always say no.
Pineapple on pizza. I said it the other way. Pineapple on pizza. Yes or no?
Yeah. So for my whole life, I've said absolutely not, never. And then I actually had pineapple on pizza very recently, and it was quite nice.
Like, oh my God, pineapple on pizza is the best thing. If I call a pizza shop to order pizza and they don't have pineapple, that's it. I'm not ordering. I forget the order. Because
I was really surprised. It was really, really nice actually. Yeah, I would eat it again. And like, as much it pained me as well because my husband loves it, and I was like, and now I love it. Yeah. So there we go.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So that's it. That's all the questions I've got for you. Thank you so much, Shelley, for coming on this episode with us, sharing your story. It's been inspiring. Talking to you, learning about a bit more about your journey and your story. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on. We'll have to catch up maybe next year and see where we're at there and how things are progressing.
Definitely. 100%. Yeah. All right. Thank you.
You.
Have a good day. Enjoy the rest of your day. See you later.
Bye.